One of the best parts of the upcoming college football season is calling your shot. Whether it's saying your team is going to win the Natty or your quarterback is going to win the Heisman, it's always fun to have your hot takes. Leading up to the start of the college football season, I'm going to be reading and reacting to your bold predictions for the 2024 season. So here is part 3 of hot takes from my YouTube comments. Before we get to today's hot takes, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel, so make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. If you guys have a hot take you'd like to share for the 2024 season, drop a comment down below and it could be featured in my next video. Kicking things off is Mississippi State exceeds expectations, going 7-5 in year 1 under Lebby, with wins against Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, Toledo, Florida, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and UMass. Now, I will say I do like how you laid out their schedule and which games they are going to win, but you got one thing blatantly wrong with this hot take, and that is that Mississippi State in no way is going to beat my Arizona State Sun Devils, so it's going to be a 6-6 season for your Bulldogs. Missouri predictions: Luther Burden will break the SEC single-season receiving yards record, and Brady Cook is a Heisman contender. Missouri finishes top 10 in poll ranking. So we'll start with Luther Burden breaking the all-time record. Now I had to look it up because I wasn't quite sure what the record was, but it's Devontae Smith, who had nearly 1,900 yards back in 2020 when he won the Heisman. This past season, Luther Burden did finish with 1,200 yards, and that was a really good season, but making the jump to have 700 more yards, well, it's going to take quite a lot. Now, I do think that Luther Burden is the best wide receiver in all of college football, and based on this hot take, if you think Brady Cook is a Heisman contender, that means he's going to put up some really remarkable numbers in 2024. So if Brady Cook were to throw for over 4,000 yards, then I definitely think Luther Burden is going to be getting a good chunk of them. It's going to take a lot, he's going to have to be their number 1 target, and Missouri's going to have to play a lot of games, but I definitely think Luther Burden can get to that mark. Now, with Luther Burden and Brady Cook are each having fantastic seasons, that likely means Missouri is going to be a really good team, so they'll definitely be in the top 10 if these two guys are putting up these kind of numbers. Tennessee starts 10-1 with 1 loss to Georgia, in position to make the SEC championship, but lose to Vanderbilt by 14 and fall down to number 12 in the country and miss the playoffs to the group of 5 team. Liberty, my prediction. Yeah, so this is a hot take that I really like because it goes down so many different routes. So first off, you have the record with where the loss comes to, but the fact that they're 1 game away from playing in the SEC title game and they lose to Vanderbilt by 14, yeah, that would be absolutely brutal for Tennessee. And I like that you have them falling down to number 12 in the country, and the fact that Liberty is the team that slides into the playoffs. I'm personally really high on Tennessee this year. I think they're going to be a really good team. Are they going to go 10-1 through their first 11 games? I'm not quite certain. Looking at their schedule, they definitely can, but losing to Vanderbilt, I don't think that's going to happen. But again, that's why I love these hot takes. That's why I love people calling their shots, because stranger things have happened and you just never know. Oklahoma State goes 12-0, wins the conference championship, and Ollie Gordon wins the Heisman Trophy. Yeah, Oklahoma State, they're consistently one of the better teams in the Big 12. The fact that both Oklahoma and Texas left this offseason, that opens it up in this conference because there are so many teams that honestly could win the conference championship. Now, would I be surprised if Oklahoma State wins the Big 12 next season? Absolutely not. Would I be surprised if they made it there going undefeated? I definitely would be, but again, you can make the case they are the best team in that conference. And if Oklahoma State is going 12-0, that likely means it's because Ollie Gordon is the best running back in all of college football, so if he's putting up the kind of numbers I'm expecting him to, and Oklahoma State goes undefeated, yeah, I think it's safe to say Ollie Gordon is going to be your Heisman Trophy winner. Brock Glenn becomes the starter for Florida State, and they go into the North Carolina game 8-0 and number 6 in the nation, but Amari and Hampton cooks, and they lose. But they went out after that, finishing 11-1. In the ACC title, they beat Clemson and make the playoffs, but lose to Georgia in round 1, 34-10. I mean, this is actually pretty interesting because, at least from what I've heard from an outsider's perspective, it does sound like DJ Uiagalelei has looked really solid for Florida State so far. And if they're winning games, because like you say here, they're going to be 8-0 at this point in the season, I don't think they would be 8-0 if DJ Uiagalelei was playing poorly, so maybe there's an injury that you're accounting for, or maybe they're winning all these games very closely and they opt to go to Brock Glenn, so saying that he's going to take over and be the starter and he's still going to guide them to the playoffs, ooh, there's a lot going on there, but again, I respect it. Dylan Raiola leads Nebraska to a 9-3 season, beating Wisconsin, USC, UCLA, and Colorado, but losing to Ohio State, Iowa, and Purdue. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Nebraska looks like in 2024, because honestly, I don't know what to expect. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 to 9 games. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's typical Nebraska and they finish the season winning 4 or maybe 5 games. But Dylan Raiola, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he looks on the field, because this is a highly touted quarterback recruit. He could be the best quarterback Nebraska's had in quite some time. And if this guy is the real deal, if he does live up to expectations, then who knows, maybe Nebraska, they could be a potential threat in the Big Ten this season. I know it might seem boiling, but I think Ohio State goes 7-5 next year. I think our defense is overrated, our O-line is a mess, our running back room is overrated, our quarterback room is bad, our wide receiver room is going to fall off a cliff without Marvin Harrison Jr., and Ryan Day is a bad coach. So I think we lose to Iowa, Oregon, Nebraska, Penn State, and that team up north. I love my Buckeyes, but I just don't see how we do good this year. Yeah, this is a pretty wild hot take to begin with, but the fact that it's actually coming from an Ohio State fan, the fact that there's actually an Ohio State fan out there that thinks they're not going to do that well, that is a bit surprising. Now, I will admit, I'm not as high on Ohio State as a lot of people are out there. I mean, I definitely think they're going to be a solid team this year, but personally, I don't have them as being one of the 4 to 5 best teams in all of college football. But if the Buckeyes somehow go 7-5 this year, I think a lot is going to have to go wrong, or a lot of these losses are like really close finishes where they're losing by a field goal, they're losing by a last-minute touchdown, because they still have a lot of talent, and again, they're still probably better than a lot of the teams on their schedule. So 7-5 is a really, really boiling take, like you said at the beginning. If Jalen Daniels can stay healthy, the Kansas Jayhawks have the schedule to win the Big 12, and that would make Daniels a Heisman candidate. Can't believe I'm saying this about a Kansas team and quarterback, but here we are. Yeah, Jalen Daniels in Kansas, I don't know what to make out of them, because anytime Jalen Daniels is on the field and playing quarterback for Kansas, they're a really good team that's probably a top 15 to 20 team in all of college football. The issue has been this guy just can't stay healthy over these last couple of years, and whenever Kansas had to go to another quarterback, they normally struggle. So if Jalen Daniels is able to actually stay healthy for a full season in 2024, I agree. I think the Jayhawks are going to be really good, and I think they're going to be one of the better teams in all of the Big 12. But if he goes down with an injury, it's going to be a rough season for the Jayhawks. Alright, this is our final hot take of the day. Syracuse will be a 10+ win team and be a dark horse for the ACC championship under their new coaching staff. Kyle McCord and Aronde Gadsden will be one of the best 1-2 punches in the nation. They've gotten some good talent in the transfer portal, and they also have a very easy schedule. Yeah, I can't remember if this was one of the hot takes I did a couple videos ago, or this was something I talked about at some point during this offseason, but a lot of people are saying that we really need to pay attention to Syracuse this year. They did have a really solid offseason, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think when I talked about the best transfer portal classes, I think Syracuse might have been in there. So Syracuse has a really, really solid team for 2024. And what I remember as well is the fact that their schedule is insanely easy. I mean, if you pull up their schedule, just take a look at this. I mean, their most difficult games are going to be on the road at NC State and against Miami at the end of the year. But outside of that, Syracuse is probably going to be favored in a lot of these games. Now, knowing the ACC, knowing the craziness of college football, of course, there might be a couple games in here in which they drop. But when you look at the schedule from start to finish, like I said, there's maybe 2 games that are really, really difficult. And outside of that, these are all pretty winnable games. So yeah, Syracuse, who knows, maybe they can shock a lot of people this year. Like you said, they could be a 10-win team and a potential dark horse for the ACC ACC championship. I mean, my gosh, they somehow avoid Clemson and Florida State this year. That's absolutely crazy considering this schedule. Alright, but that does wrap it up for today's hot takes. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you have a hot take or a bold prediction for the 2024 season, drop a comment down below, and that hot take could be read in my next video. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. The college football season is just a couple weeks away, so if you're a college football fan, this is definitely the place for you. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that confusing YouTube algorithm, and it helps share the video and my channel with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in my next video.